let's get off the Super Bowl and let's talk about the recent drop of a superstar. The fall off has arrived. All right. Listen, I gave it a few listens. Okay. I'm not reacting off of one listen. I really take my time and effort with albums like this. And I'll give some of the pros and afterwards I'll give some of the cons. Kind of what I liked about the album, what I don't like, what I could have done without. What did I like about the fall off? Well, I will tell you this. I am a person that appreciates introspective, personal albums, which means a lot of storytelling on where you came from, how you became who you are, and kind of what molds you. I kind of like that. I like storytelling albums. As a Kendrick fan, Nas fan, some of the greatest hip hop artists lyrically, this is what they do best, and I think Cole is one of the best at doing that as well. Um, some of the tracks that I did like, definitely Poor Thing. A lot of, hard rapping. Who the fuck is you? 2-6. Love that. I love the song with Burner Boy. Only You. And then there was one with Thames. I like the one with Thames on it too. In Future. Bunch Ride Blues. So lots of good stuff on here. I think that being J. Cole, he isn't really into features like that a lot. I think Forest Hills Drive, he had no features. So he was kind of a person that, doesn't focus on heavy featured albums, which I do appreciate. It means that you have to have a certain skill set and a lethal pen to continue to rap the way you rap to kind of control the ear of the audience, right? And Cole's storytelling ability from the first disc, where he's age 29, it's where he's coming back to North Carolina, to visit family and friends and how everybody's kind of on him. And then, the second track is Disc 39, where you're older going in and you witnessed and went through a completely different thing in your life. And I love that kind of stuff. He had stuff where he was dissing a local guy. And listen, coming up in this thing, I know I have people in my hometown that don't like me, that talk trash behind my back. And trust me, if I had a diss track, I would diss them too. But, he has stuff on this album for everybody. And I mean everybody, from the bottom of your life to you're kind of getting somewhere to, okay, now you're at the top. What's next, right? And, the fall off really hits all of those points. And I really do appreciate that about this album. Here is how should I put this nicely? Here's my takeaways that I could do without, or my critiques. Okay, here are my critiques for the fall off. For one, 24 tracks is a lot. If this was cut down to about 16, maybe 17, I think I'm looking at this album completely different, and we're probably talking about a classic here. It's tough to have 24 songs on an album, and for having all of them or 80% of them be stamped surefire hitters. It's hard. I've always said that there's only one artist that could really go 24 and up, and that's Chris Brown. He makes 40 track albums and 80% of them are going. He's the only one that can do it. So with 24 tracks, you kind of get of the same thing. I did say it's, storytelling, which I do appreciate, but if you don't like hearing that, that's pretty much the same kind of vibe through the whole album. Now, there's some songs on there that, are good club bangers or something that has a little replay value, but it's all in all a lot of the same stuff, kind of same flow, same tempo, just a different story, which, you know, um, if that's what you're into, it's what you're into, you'll kind of understand, how he's going about it. And it's his last album. I really don't have any other critique for it other than with the track list being so much, maybe add a little bit more features. I'm not saying make it feature heavy, but probably add in a couple of people that would fit the track list a little bit better and kind of switch up the flow of, us not getting used to hearing your voice in the whole album. And I think that would have made it a little bit more appealing to me per se. But all in all, this is his last album. J. Cole's one of the best rappers in the world. He doesn't have to prove that to anybody. He doesn't have to prove that to me, which, I mean, listen, I'm a Kendrick fan, but I have a lot of appreciation for Cole. And he doesn't have to prove it to Drake fans. He doesn't have to prove it to Kendrick fans. He didn't have to prove it to his own fans. I think his fans are eating this up and they love it, and as they should. When their favorite artists drop, you should be happy. But I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm perfectly fine with how this album was, simply because J. Cole has that persona and accomplishment and resume to do whatever he wants to do on his final album. I have no problem with it. A lot of people are going to the song What If, where he made Biggie and Pac apologize. And they're like, okay, well, of course J. Cole's making people apologize. I get the concept. I understand. But I also understand where people are coming from with that. But I'm not going to critique this album too much. I would say, okay, I don't see myself going back to this album as much. I would definitely go back to My Delete Later. I would definitely go back to 95 South. I would definitely, obviously, go back to his older stuff, but this, here's what it reminds me of, okay? I had a text with my boy Cody, and he's a Drake and Cole fan, hates Kendrick. And I told him, this is J. Cole's Mr. Morale. And immediately he texts me, he says, I don't think it was trash. And that's kind of what the sentiment of what everybody else would think, because everybody else thinks Mr. Morale was trash. So if you're calling this J. Cole's Mr. Morale, you think it's trash. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Mr. Morale and The Fall Off have a lot of similarities. Double disc, lots of storytelling, introspective, and personal. It's pretty much identical. This is just his version of it. Now, everybody killed Kendrick for Mr. Morale. But as a Kendrick fan, I understand where Cole is coming from with The Fall Off. Therefore, I won't kill him for it, because I understand it. I don't think it's trash. I don't think it's the best thing, right? But all in all, I guess I would say my expectations were, hearing the mixtapes, I thought that this was going to be the one to where it's going to blow me away, right? It's going to be one of those albums where I can't stop listening to it. Like, it's so good, I cannot stop listening to it. I'm cool with the listens that I gave it. It was for the moment, and I'm able to leave it at that and still walk away happy. I'm satisfied. I'm pleased with The Fall Off. There's no real critique or disagreement with how things were. He has the cachet to do whatever he wants to do on his final album. I will always respect Cole. I will always respect his pen, but where would we put this album in his discography? That's the thing. I'd have to go back and look. I'm not really a huge Cole fan. I know a couple. I would love to ask them where they would put this album in his discography of albums that he's created before. I'm really interested to see how high or low they have it. Because for me, My Delete Later was better, even though it's an EP. Obviously, Forest Hills Drive was better. 95 South was better. And even if we go into this year, what he dropped in the beginning of the year, like he always does, shout out to him. I don't see this being better than Don Tolliver's album. I can't stop playing that album. Iceman's coming up. I suspect it to be better than this simply because of the style of rapper Drake is. It should be 10 times better than this because he's on a different mission than J. Cole is. So, yeah, the fall off was cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate J. Cole. I appreciate the album. And who knows, maybe I will go back to it because even with Mr. Morale, I gave it a couple listens and I said, I'm probably never going to go back to this album again. And I didn't. But, years go by and then you check it out and then you're in a different space in life where the stuff that you heard that you didn't understand now makes sense. Maybe this is Cole's Mr. Morale. And that is no shot whatsoever. Because I don't think Mr. Morale was trash. I don't think the fall off is trash. I just think that it's introspective, it's personal, it's for the people that really fuck with him, and you know what? You can't knock that. You can't knock that. So, shout outs to J. Cole, shout out to the fall off. It's doing crazy numbers as it should.